Okay, we'll get started again. So we will reconvene the meeting at 11:09. We have 2 items remaining, one more in public, and then we will go into public excluded. So we are now on item 7.4 of the agenda. This is on page 334. Item 7.4, incorporating National Policy Statement for Freshwater Management 2020 and Resource Management Amendment Act 2024, Section 55, changes into the Waikato Regional Plan. Man, the title alone. All right, and we have Bruce.
Yeah.
Bruce, did you want to speak to this?
Very briefly, thank you, morning councillors. This is giving effect to change to the NPSFM from 2022 and a very recent change from 2024 to mandatory changes that we're required to make to the natural inlands policy in the NPSFM. Changes are made under section 55, which simply directs us that we make the changes into our plan directly without recourse to the Schedule 1 process. So it can be done very straightforward and notify it as soon as possible after the changes have been approved. So we've got all that lined up in the meantime. And the changes will actually bring the regional plan into line with the NPSFM, which will make things much more efficient for our consenting people in particular, and give applicants and our own consent people much more certainty in implementing policy. At the moment, there's a disconnect which is creating some uncertainty for them. Come to us and said, well, we need to make these changes, and part of what we're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's compulsory. It's has to be done. So let's get on with it. I so move.
Happy to second.
So we've got a mover and a seconder. Councillor Dunbar-Smith.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, what is the definition of a natural wetland? Because I mean, it's relevant because I mean, when you're talking about streams, there's a kind of gumboot test if you can walk across it, and you know, there's dimensions set out. Are there dimensions or sizes or the amount of wetness?
Yes, there are in the NPSFM, and it's down to quite a fine level. I think it's 50 square metres it goes down to. And there's a definition which has been debated around the tracks ever since the NPSF has come into being, and there's been a couple of changes to it. I can't tell you what it is off the top of my head, my apologies, but I'd have to look at that and come back to you.
So I noticed there's no definition attached to what we're putting into our document.
But there is in the NPSFM, yeah.
Okay, so that will apply.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I've got a mover and a seconder. Any other questions? Nope. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bruce. Took longer for me to read out the title of that paper, didn't it? For us to get through it. Okay, we will now move into public excluded for our next item. Do I have a mover?
Madam Chair, I'd like to challenge the need to move into public excluded. My understanding is the reasons behind it is because it is a CE KPI, but as those are all public, I don't see the need for us to be discussing this in public excluded.
Public? I don't believe they are. Their CE KPIs have always been discussed in public excluded sessions.
If I could, I'm just thinking it through right now. Challenges, are they public or not? And I don't know if my KPIs have been reported publicly or not out of council meetings.
They sit in the agenda of our CERC meetings.
Public excluded, though.
The reporting back
It's
on the
public
timeframes
excluded.
don't.
That's in public excluded.
Yeah,
the-
Madam Chair, there's a big difference between once they've been established and if you're establishing or amending them, and I'm not comfortable with making this decision on the hoof right now. So it'll end up potentially being the wrong one, and
And there is a precedent.
Yeah.
Where CE KPIs have always been discussed in public excluded.
I mean, if someone wants to
Because
go
it's an
away and spend a
employment
bit of
matter.
time looking into it properly and giving us an answer, more than happy to run with whatever that answer is, but I'm not prepared to make a decision on the hoof now, and I won't support it going into public.
Councillor Smith?
Madam Chair, there are matters that I have been involved in the last few days that I would like the opportunity to speak in private to this matter. And then subsequently, if there's a resolution to move those into public, that's fine. But I think it's relevant to the conversation at the moment that we have some privacy because of the individuals who I wish to refer to.
If I could, through Madam Chair, so the reason why it was made public excluded in the first place, without having that additional reason just given, was because it affects me in a discussion with me about my KPIs. That was the reason for it. The additional reason, depending what gets said, may or may not be relevant.
Look, Madam Chair, I'm happy to accept it on those grounds and perhaps look at what is reported back into the public session as we move through it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, so do I have a mover to move into public excluded? Councillor Nicol and second, and Councillor Kneebone. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.